What's poppin', everybody? So a couple days ago I made a tweet about, I'll put it up on the screen, but it was about Father of Four by Offset and how bad the album cover was. I called it the worst album cover I've ever seen, and some people agreed, some people didn't, but it got around 3,000 likes, which is the most I've ever gotten a tweet. So it just kind of gave me an idea for a video, because if it got that many likes on Twitter, then that means that people probably want to see a video about it. And I haven't seen a video like this on YouTube either when it comes to bad album covers, especially in hip hop. So I figured, why not be the first? And I'm gonna start off with more mild ones that are definitely bad and could use a lot of tweaks, but they're, I'm just laughing just thinking about it, but they're not on the level of some of the album covers you're gonna see later in this video, because I found some horrendous album covers. So this should be a fun video. So I'm gonna start off with Tarantula by Danny Towers, which is actually a really good project. I recommend you listen to that if you haven't, but I never really liked the cover just because it seems just like they didn't put any thought or effort into it. It seems like something that they came up with in 30 seconds and just called it a day, you know? Like, I feel like the graphic designer or whoever made it was just like, well, the album's called Tarantula, so let's put a tarantula in his head, and then just left it at that. Like, it just comes off as really lazy to me, and it's done in a high quality way. Like, it's not a low quality picture, but the idea itself is just, it doesn't really seem good to me. And then next we have 2001 by Dr. Dre, which is a classic album, one of the best rap albums ever, but to me, I never got why they never tried harder with the album cover. You know, they just put Dr. Dre 2001 and a pot leaf on a black background, and then that was it. It just, I mean, at this point it's honestly kind of iconic because of how simple it is, but that still doesn't change the fact that it looks super low effort and kind of bootleg, if I'm being real. Next is The Big Day by Chance the Rapper. So we're going from one of the best albums ever to one of the worst albums ever. And yeah, I know I'm not the only one that agrees. I think this is just a really bad cover, because not even just the fact that it's just bland and boring and doesn't really stand out, but it is false advertising, because the disc on the album cover, he's holding a disc with a bunch of gems on it, but there is not one gem on that album. So that says all it needs to say. Next up is Blank Blank by DaBaby, and this is another one that just seems so low effort, and they didn't put like hardly any thought into it, just because, well, for one, that shade of orange is super ugly to me, so off rip that's a red flag. And then they just slap DaBaby on there and add a parental advisory sticker, and then that's just it. Like, man, I understand that not every album cover has to be super dope. You don't have to get like actual painters and stuff to do it like Logic does, which I really respect Logic for his album covers. But like, I don't like low effort ones that seem like they put no more than 5 minutes of thought into it, you know what I mean? I'm not really sure why The Game decided to make his most recent album cover a bad pun, but here we are. Like, I don't get it, you know what I mean? Like, it just seems like an idea that probably sounded really good when he was high or something, but in actuality, not at all. Like, just titling an album Born to Rap, and then it's just him in a studio with a bunch of pregnant ladies, just, it seems like something that only a 5th grader would find clever. Yeezus is another one that I chalk up to just pure laziness. From what I understand though, going into the album, is Kanye knew that physical albums and physical music was kind of on its way out in favor of streaming, which he was definitely right about, but that didn't mean that album covers would stop being a thing, you know? Like, with Chance's album cover, at least he added some spice and flavor, you know? He's like taking his picture in a nice yard and added some gems into it. But with Kanye's, literally just a picture of a disc with red tape, you know what I mean? So it just comes off as super lazy, and foresight was not 2020 for Kanye on this one. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this actually had some potential, because I like the whole Jetsons theme and the Rookie of the Future. I think those two ideas kind of play well with each other. But slapping just a big ass picture of Riff Raff on top of that, looking goofy as hell, just ruined any potential that it had. Now, for an artist as big as Drake is and as successful as Drake is, I have no idea how he greenlit a cover this bad. Granted, it is just a compilation album of, you know, the singles that he has put out in the past that are really popular and aren't on streaming services. I get that it's not just a full-on concept album, but I mean, you gotta try a little harder than this. It looks like a middle schooler made this with clip art. Not even the fonts is good. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. At first, I kind of found this creative, but the more you look at it, the more uncomfortable you get. Yeah. I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird to keep looking at, so I'm gonna move on. What the fuck, Jack? I refuse to believe that this is the best cover you could come up with. You're coming off the success of What's Poppin', and this is the cover you choose? Really? It looks like he tried to pull a some rap songs, but then last minute try to make it even more artsy by adding a black and white filter, but it does not work. It just doesn't work.
It does.
Alright, so now I'm really excited because we're gonna get into just the worst of the worst. Ones that honestly seem intentionally bad. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna really try and spoil it or try to explain it because you just have to see them for themselves, but for some reason they all have like a weirdly, like the same look to them. It's kind of hard to explain, but you'll know what I mean when I get into it. But this is when we get into some really bad covers. Just look at that. What are you doing? Not only is the name stupid, why would you even make that your name? I'm sorry, this is kind of hurting my brain right now. His name is Muddy Butt Naked. The album is called Welcome to Funky Town with a PH, and he's sitting on a toilet on top of a city flipping us off. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know why he did this. Now, Trina, not really sure why you decided to make your album cover you straddling a dying man who clearly needs to be revived in a slutty nurse's outfit, but I've been taught to never question the baddest, so let's move on. And here we are. The album cover that inspired this whole video. So I have an appreciation for this because this is actually a really good idea, but bro, this for Offset, what do you... I'm having trouble coming up with words for how bad this is. Not only is a throne picture one of the most overused and cliche ideas for an album cover, but on top of that, he photoshops in all of his kids from different photos, so it just looks horribly bootleg, you know what I mean? Like, let's just forget how uncreative this cover is. The very least he could have done is had all his kids together with him for a picture or for a photo shoot, but no, he just decided to take it by himself and then Photoshop his kids in. I'm at a loss for words. I really am. Now this is another iconic album with a horrible album cover. Like, the random fire coming up from nowhere, the police cars facing away from him, like they for some reason reversed towards him. There's like what looks like a apocalypse, like dark sky cloud going on in the background. He's just standing there with his shirt off trying to look intimidating. And the font on the bottom, The Block is Hot, spelled out in fire letters, is not helping at all either. So yeah, I don't know what it is about the bling rap era of that whole like late 90s, early 2000s, but that has spawned some of the worst album covers we've ever seen in music. Here we go again with another good album with a horrible album cover from the bling rap era. Mr. Cal, I feel like it would have been really good if he just left it with the text and then just him, just, you know, standing there mean mugging like he usually does, but what really throws it off is the background. I don't even know what it is. Like, it looks like he's trying to spell something out with fire letters, like on the Block is Hot cover. But at least with that one, you could tell what he's trying to spell. This one is just a mess. Like I really don't know what the thought process was going into this. This one is an album cover by Criminal Element, which I've never heard of them. And if this album cover is any indication, that's probably why I've never heard of them, because I don't even know what's going on. It looks like they're going to Hood Hogwarts. Like, it's just them in the background just posted up in what looks like an ocean background some random jockey riding his horse to the left, a random car on the right, and then a dog riding a train in the front. It's just... just why? 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 None of these things on this album cover work well together. They just threw a bunch of pictures together and then just called it a day. I don't know why. This one is Uncle Murda, Return to the Bad Guy. And yeah, I never thought I would see the Care Bears getting shot on an album cover, but with a name like Uncle Murda, it makes sense. Now, 3-6, as iconic and influential as they are, have some of the worst album covers I've ever seen, and they have a lot of them back in the day. Like, I don't know who their graphic designer was, but he or she seems like they've never ever done graphic design before because they're that bad. You got 3-6 in what looks like hell.
I'm in hell! I'm burning!
Then you got 3-6 on a spaceship. And then with this one, it had a little bit of potential, but then they just completely ruined it by going overboard with the shitty fonts because it takes up almost half the cover. And with this one, I don't even know what's going on. I could honestly keep going, but that's just beating a dead horse. Then we got Bone Brothers for Life, which is an album by Lazy Bone and Crazy Bone. And yeah, it's just looks like another product of the bling rap era because, as you can see, they went way too overboard with the random fire and a random skull in the background. They're both photoshopped in from different photos and terrible fonts, you know what I mean? So I don't know what it was with graphic designers back in the day, but it honestly seems like at this point that they were trolling because there's no way you make that and think it looks good. There's just no way. Bro, just look at that. I get that Big Bear is his name, but literally just making an album cover of you sitting with a bunch of bears dressed up in like fancy robes and smoking cigars is not it. I don't know exactly the things that Big Bear is doing, but it's definitely not making good album covers. I know that for sure. I'm just gonna let you guys take that in because this is now the worst one I've ever seen. Like, I thought it was Father of Four, but this takes the cake. I don't even... Jesus. That's all I can say, bro. Snoop, not you too, man. We have yet again another product of the bling rap era graphic designers. And the thing that has me confused the most is that Doggy Style was his first album. This album was, I think, the album after that one, or the second album after that one. And Doggy Style is a great album cover. It's iconic, you know, that's why people walk around with it on their t-shirts and stuff, but how do you go from that to this? And at the time, he was still very popular, so I don't know. I really don't know. Next up is Blueface with We Over Famous. And man, for an album cover that came out in 2018, this looks like something straight out of 2002. Like, I just don't get why he had to Photoshop him, and I don't know who that is. It may be a rapper, maybe his friend, I'm not sure, but I don't get why he had him and his friend photoshopped onto a background of what looks like a swimming pool when they could have just gone to a swimming pool and had a photo shoot. Like, it's pretty obvious that Blueface doesn't actually care about his music and doesn't put any effort into it. So, I mean, why would we expect the same for his album covers, you know? Now, I hate to disrespect the rap god Viper, but it's no secret that his album covers need some work. I could literally make a video like this with just his album covers, because he has that many, but I'm not going to do that. He even beats 3-6 Mafia in this category when it comes to just the sheer number of bad album covers. However, I will let you guys enjoy a compilation of the modern Picasso's best work.
What's up with that? Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. What's up with that? Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack. What's up with that? Y'all cowards don't even smoke crack.
Now, I'm gonna wrap this up with an honorable mention because it's arguably the worst one that you'll see in this video, but it isn't a hip-hop album, but it's Corey Feldman, Angelic to the Core. And yeah, just take that in. Just enjoy that for a second. Alright y'all, so that is gonna do it for this video. I hope you had as much fun watching that as I had making that and researching it, because this is one of the probably the most fun video I've ever made. I really enjoyed that a lot, and I hope that showed throughout the whole video and my recording of the video. So if you enjoyed and made it this far, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new if you want to. And I also leave the links to my Instagram and Twitter down in the description, so if you don't mind following me there, I would really appreciate it. And as always, it's been ISAIAH the Player, and I'm gone.